Good evening. Welcome, everybody. So happy to see you here tonight. There's something here that says that my remarks are 3 minutes, so I'd start eating because it's definitely not 3 minutes. First, I want to thank Stacy Sobel, Stacy Groden, and Alyssa Sokoloff for their fabulous work on this gala. They just did a tremendous job. Changing venues has resulted in a massive increase in the work required to put this together, and they've done a great job. I also want to thank Blackstone, who owns this building, for making this space available when we were in a tough spot a few weeks ago. I have this fantasy that tonight we will raise a ton of money and awareness, and that I'll also lease this floor out. So if there's anybody I want to thank Senators Gillibrand and Blumenthal, Dr. Oz, all of my friends and colleagues who have been so supportive, and my fellow board members of TBDA. And most of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife and family, who probably thought I was challenging to live with even before I got a chronic illness. As you have heard, we face a truly challenging public health problem. Tick-borne diseases represent an epidemic that seems to be growing at a shocking rate. The issues involved are not fully understood, and these diseases are not being fought with sufficient resources. The issues are also complicated, and frankly, there's more about these diseases that we don't know than that we know. I'll try to give a bit more detail, but truly, if you have interest in learning more, you should visit our website or read books. I'll give one advertisement for Cure Unknown. Many of you have probably read it, by Pam Weintraub. Terrific book on the subject. Pam is somewhere here in the audience. She deserves a round of applause. There are many individuals and organizations who are doing great work every day to tackle tick-borne diseases. We at TBDA, and I particularly appreciate and value all the work they've done. And I want to specifically mention a few organizations. First, NatCap Lyme. Greg and Monty Skall, who are here with us tonight somewhere. Thank you for your work. And then there are others who couldn't make this event, such as the great people from the Lyme Research Alliance, the LDA, Lyme.org, the Lyme Disease United Coalition, and countless others who have helped at the local level in support and advocacy groups across the country. We extend our hands to the other groups around the country and hope that we will be able to work together in the days ahead. It's my belief that to be successful in fighting these diseases, we must join forces. As you heard in our video, this is one of TBDA's prime goals. On the legislative front, for example, we've been advised by a gentleman who's sitting right in front of us that it is imperative that the Lyme advocacy community act in concert if we hope to make progress. We want everyone to know that they are welcome to join TBDA in working with us as we launch our campaign of awareness, advocacy, and fundraising. Let me tell you a little bit about what I've faced. My story is the same as many. I didn't see a bite. I didn't see a rash. I wasn't aware of the symptoms of these illnesses. The doctors I went to for the many symptoms I had weren't aware of these illnesses. I had blood tests that produced false negatives before receiving a CDC positive test 3.5 months into my illness. After nearly 4 months of medical visits and misdiagnosis, I was ultimately diagnosed as suffering from Lyme disease and Babesia. I was treated with antibiotics and other medicines on and off for about a year. Although I am much better, I continue to deal with persistent symptoms. So what should have been a relatively minor happening in my life turned into something else. Many of us who are dealing with tick-borne diseases live lives of silent suffering, either because we don't understand what's affecting us, or we don't want to talk about our illness. Part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is the hope that my speaking out will help others realize when they need to seek help, and also encourage others to become public about the challenges that they face with these illnesses. I also got involved because I thought this was an issue of massive social injustice. Obviously, wealthy and poor have an equal chance of infection. But if you have the financial wherewithal, eventually you can get help. As Charles said, the government's position is that if you have the illness, you take 2 to 4 weeks of antibiotics and you're cured. That's it. And if you're not well after that time, you're pretty much on your own. For those who can't afford treatment, this policy is unacceptable. For this population, these diseases can be particularly devastating. My case, like so many others, points to the need for a reliable diagnostic test. At TBDA, we are focused on finding that diagnostic tool because we feel it is the linchpin of making a meaningful difference. The tests used to determine if you have Lyme or other tick-borne diseases were in most cases developed decades ago. To be more specific regarding statistics that Charles mentioned, it's estimated that the ELISA test, which is typically given to patients initially, is inaccurate 35 to 75% of the time, depending in part on when the course is, when you are given the test in the course of the illness. When the ELISA is combined with the Western blot, which is the second part of the diagnostic method recommended by the CDC, between 33 and 55% of patients with other laboratory evidence for Lyme disease test negative, especially in the early course of the disease when it's most important to catch. However, despite these statistics, which to me are alarming, the medical community acts as if the ELISA test and the Western blot are completely reliable. That's a huge issue because patients end up being diagnosed late, if at all, and insurance companies, following government guidelines, deny coverage. So, a reliable, accessible test would ensure that fewer people suffer needlessly. A reliable test would also prevent individuals who think they have Lyme but do not, which certainly occurs as well, from receiving needless medication. In addition, because of poor diagnostics, lack of awareness, and lack of reporting, we don't have a good handle on the number of people who are suffering. Though we think it is widely underreported, it's one thing to say we believe that thousands of people in the country have Lyme and related co-infections, but it's another altogether if we can prove, as we suspect, that many hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, of people are suffering from these illnesses. Then the government, the medical community, and the insurance companies will be compelled to pay attention. Once we have those facts, it will be very hard to simply say what some of us had heard during our hardest times, which is, we are all crazy, that the symptoms we are experiencing are just in our head. There's limited financial support by the government for medical research in general these days, and even less when it comes to identifying a better diagnostic tool for TBDs. Unfortunately, the private market has also failed to develop a more effective and widely accepted diagnostic test. We are trying to help find a test that is more effective, more cost-effective, that's available to all, and perhaps most importantly, accepted by the medical community, and that can be used in all stages of the disease progression, from the moment of the bite through later stages of chronic illness. Finding a reliable diagnostic tool is the critical first step. Once we have a diagnostic tool in hand, and we are better able to get the support from the medical community, government, and the private sector, we will be able to tackle the eradication of these diseases. A lot of money will be needed to solve these complex problems. Charitable individuals, the government, and the private sector will all need to be engaged. That's why we're holding this event tonight. It's also why we're working with the government. We greatly appreciate the support of New York Senator Gillibrand and Connecticut Senator Blumenthal, and the fact that they will hold a Senate hearing in August. We at TBDA plan to be very involved in those hearings. I urge you to read the Senator's bill, copies of which I believe are on the table, and will also be on our website. And sign the petition that I also believe is on your table, and also will be up on our website in the coming weeks. The third area of funding, the private sector, is critically important. It's just a fact that more money can be raised when there's a profit motive than when it is being raised just for charity. And tonight, I have an extremely exciting announcement regarding our search for a better diagnostic test and our belief in the power of the market. TBDA is honored to partner with the X Prize Foundation. Thank you. The X Prize Foundation is an organization that acts to use the power of the marketplace to find solutions to social problems around the world. The X Prize sponsors competitive processes to incentivize researchers, corporations, and individuals to solve these problems. With our colleagues at the X Prize, we will work with experts from around the world on the issue of tick-borne diseases and related topics for at least the next 6 to 9 months to design a competition to attract the best and brightest around the world to engage in the search for a diagnostic tool. Very honored that in a few moments you will hear from X Prize Vice Chairman and President Robert Weiss, who will tell you more about what he and his colleagues are doing around the world. Just to give you a sense of the stature of the X Prize Foundation, its board includes people like Larry Page, Ratan Tata, Elon Musk, Ray Kurzweil, Arianna Huffington, James Cameron, and Craig Venter. They're actively running competitions in partnership with groups such as Google, Qualcomm, Northrop Grumman, and as of Monday night, the Robin Hood Foundation, where, by the way, they raised $57 million. I mean, any of you who were there, if you could do me a favor and tell me how they did it, we need to do that next year. And maybe we will. You never know. I can't tell you how great an honor it is to be associated with such talented and accomplished individuals as those associated with the X Prize. I feel pretty good right now, but I'm not 100%. And every day, I worry about my symptoms returning. And I'm lucky compared to many who suffer from these diseases. We're here tonight to knock down the fear and the stigma associated with tick-borne diseases, and to move closer towards eradication of these illnesses. Thank you again for this award. And now, I want to introduce Bob Weiss from the X Prize. They're a great new partner for us, and we look forward to success together in our quest to find a diagnostic tool. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bob Weiss of the X Prize.